Dear guests, now we welcome our next speaker, Dr. Paul Andrew Dudley, Dean of College of Business and Law, British University of Bahrain.
Welcome. It's a great pleasure to be with you this morning. My name's Dr. Paul Andrew Dudley, and today I'm going to be talking about partnering. And there are two key themes that I'd like to stress, which is true, I believe, the world over. One is collaboration is the key to success, and the second is about trust in relationships. Years ago, I worked extensively in China and Hong Kong, and trust in that part of the world is exceptionally important. What I have found over the years is that whichever region, whichever country we're looking at and looking to partner with, particular institutions within that country, trust is paramount. Building up that trust over a period of time is absolutely key. What I'd also say, which links to this in terms of my own research interests, is an area called alliance capitalism. Alliance capitalism was developed as an idea by John Dunning. And John Dunning was working out of the Reading School of Thought, University of Reading. And this really kicked off in the late 80s, early 1990s. And the premise behind alliance capitalism is that no company or no university is big enough to go it alone. So collaboration, forming alliances is absolutely paramount. So in today's brief presentation, we're going to cover a few topics, which, great, the clicker doesn't work. Any assistance, please? It does work. So we're going to talk about mobility. We'll then talk a little bit about exchanges, in particular focusing on Erasmus+, which is a great opportunity for countries, including Bahrain. For Bahrain, it offers up opportunities for exchanges, both students coming here and students going to European universities which are associated with a particular body, which I'll talk about shortly. So that's today's presentation. Let's put some context on this. As we can see, the growth in students going overseas, mobility, has risen dramatically over a number of decades. And we can see here that roughly 3 times the number of students pursue higher education outside their home country. 3 most popular regions, as most of us are no doubt aware: America, Europe, and Australia. And we see, certainly over the last decade, some movements in terms of where students are going. So, for example, in the UK, at the present time, a number of universities are having some difficulties with recruiting students internationally. But that trend, we tend to see this as waves, and hopefully that position will improve for UK universities. But nonetheless, what we do see is Europe is a great opportunity in terms of enriching our student experience, because that's why we're here in higher education. It's to enrich in student experience, and offering opportunities for students to study in different settings is absolutely paramount. So it's being immersed in different cultural, institutional settings, which can help students grow into the future leaders of tomorrow. And that's absolutely paramount to what we should be offering and what many universities are offering here in Bahrain and overseas. So I mentioned alliance capitalism, John Dunning. Really, 1980s, 1990s onwards was where we saw this take off. So we saw an exponential growth in strategic alliances, which really can be linked to a number of factors to move away from diversified firms, particularly in the US. So conglomerates, for example, fell out of fashion in the US. They're still exceptionally popular, as we know, certainly in Asia. But nonetheless, we saw this move away from diversified firms, and with this, a rise in strategic alliances, which has taken hold, as we see today, with alliances being a key way forward for most organisations, including universities and other higher education establishments. Underpinning all of this, developing meaningful MOUs. Now, what do I mean by meaningful? It's a piece of paper. It's an intention of where we want to go. It's an outcome, if you like, of discussions. What's equally important are the discussions that go behind that and the intentions that go alongside it in developing deep trust over time. That trust element has to be worked at, and therefore putting in place the correct structures, the correct people to manage those relationships is absolutely key. As with any relationships, it will have its problems, but nonetheless, what's really important is having the right people in place and have the right vision and intention of where we want to go. Nurturing and sustaining the partnership. As I mentioned, trust is a universal principle, and that trust clearly needs to be earned from both parties. It takes time, it takes energy, and it takes having the right people in place. And it also involves, certainly in higher education, sharing key information. So one of the projects I was involved in over a decade ago was direct entry onto a university program in the UK into the final year of a 3-year program. And what was absolutely key from the start was the willingness to share information, key statistics on student performance, so we could help our partners in China and Hong Kong, in this particular instance, develop and hone their support for students before they came to the UK. So that sharing of information is absolutely key at all stages, so that we put the student at the centre of our universe. And that's the reason why we're in education, the student, the future of society. I think also there's a need to consider what's the purpose of our partnership. And that goes for both sides. What are the key drivers? Is it financial? How important is the financial consideration? What are other considerations? And being absolutely clear about those considerations throughout the negotiation process is absolutely key. Develop from the start exchanges or conversations about exchanges and other forms such as internships. That's a key question, or whether you try to keep it simple in terms of your memorandum of understanding up front, and then develop these added features later and add them to the MOU. What's absolutely key, though, irrespective of how you decide to take forward your MOUs, is being clear with the other party about where you want and foresee the partnership to be moving. Lots of different examples of scholarships that I've included here. I've given one example here, DAAD, which is German body, institution, which offers scholarships, which is something that I think is worthwhile looking at for institutions. Placements, internships, and we're going to focus on exchanges. The Erasmus Plus International Credit Mobility Program. Once you have a memorandum of understanding in place, and it needs to be of a European university that's appropriately accredited, there are opportunities for our students and for students in the university in the European Union member to exchange students. And you can exchange students from a short period of time up to a year. And that offers tremendous opportunities for the students to grow and be exposed to different cultural and institutional frameworks and approaches. At the heart, as I said earlier, of education is the student and the fact that they are the future leaders moving forward. And therefore, giving them the opportunities and exposing them to these experiences should be key, is absolutely key. So I've got some details here at the bottom about how it works in practice. Anyone that's interested in details about this particular initiative, then I'm more than happy to share outlines of how this works in practice. It is just one example of potential exchange programs that can be set up between universities in Bahrain and those in Europe. So, in summary, we've talked about I've given you a brief overview. We've talked about the importance of higher education, in particular student mobility, international student population, and the key destinations. The key theme, though, throughout this presentation has been about the importance of cooperation and trust, and that extends beyond within our communities locally, but also internationally. Thank you for your time. Thank you.